I type in your name and press enter, hopeful in some way to recapture my youth, when a chill runs down my back. The screen reads, Sanin Jukanovic, murdered. What? I begin to click through the links. The details were sketchy, but all the web pages agree that Sanin Jukanovic, 27, stockbroker from Queens, had been attacked by a bunch of thugs trying to break into his car and was stabbed to death. 18 years ago. I remember something about you becoming a stockbroker, but I still can't make the connection. Maybe I misspelled your name. Maybe it was another Sanin. I click through pages now with a greater sense of urgency. One page gives your birthday June 11th, 1969. Didn't we have the same birthday? It's when I stop at a support page for the parents of murdered children and see your father that my worst fears are confirmed. He looked much older now. His hair was all white, but I recognized his eyes. It was the same look he'd have at the park, watching out for you. The shock hits me in the gut. I can't breathe. You're dead. Scenes like a movie run through my mind. The call to your family, the frantic trip to the hospital, your empty chair at the dinner table, until the film gets stuck in the sprockets and jaggedly tears off the reel, leaving a blank white screen on the wall. I can't remember a time when you stood still. Now I picture your dead body lying motionless as the coroner opens up the steel drawer. Eyes closed shut, mouth frozen. All of your smiles gone forever. What about the funeral? It hits me that I didn't know what religion you were. 3 of my other friends were Catholic and lost their fathers within the past year, so I knew the routine all too well. I can see your family dressed in black, sitting in front of your open coffin. You lay there in your suit, body slightly deflated from the autopsy. The mortician's pancake makeup barely conceals the torturous struggle on your face as you try to hold on to life. You do not look real. I see the row of black hearses and their long drive to the cemetery. Your father, mother, and sisters clinging onto each other as they follow the pallbearers to the grave, separating long enough to toss flowers on the coffin and then leave, trying to figure out how to get on with their lives without you. Another thought passes through my mind. Maybe you were Muslim. Wouldn't that be something? 9/11 happened 2 miles from the center of Abingdon Square Park. What would the old neighborhood think of that? You would have been considered a traitor without even lifting a box cutter. People that used to be friendly neighbors would stop and give you the fish-eyed stares. I wasn't familiar with the Muslim funeral ritual, so I Google it. Your body is cleaned in ceremony by the men in the family, and then shrouded in simple white cotton cloth. Mourners, led by the imam, gather in the courtyard of the mosque and face Mecca in prayer. They are separated by rows, men up front, followed by the children, then the women. Oops. At the cemetery, your body, still shrouded in white, is carried off to its final resting place by the males and lowered into the ground, making sure it lies on its right side, facing Mecca, and propped up at the head, chin, and shoulders by ceremonial mounds of dirt the size of a fist. Mourners place 3 handfuls of soil into the grave, and then the grave is filled in. Hands and feet pat and stomp it over. Then everybody leaves and tries to get on with their lives without you. Black or white, life and death, same fucking shit. I force myself to return to the childhood scenes and friendlier colors. Pink Spaldings and yellow Wilson tennis balls hitting off of stoops. Brown Wilson Duke footballs spiraling into a waiting wide receiver's hands. Red spongy kickballs that were only good for beating people in the head in dodgeball. Playground balls of all kinds fly through the air in my mind as some sort of picturesque 21 gun salute to you. Remember when your boy Almera tried to headbutt a Nerf soccer ball that had rolled through a puddle of oil? When he hit it, the oil splattered all over his face and he looked like Wile E. Coyote after the firecracker blew up in the cartoons? Sounds of prayers and funeral dirges temporarily give way and the playground sounds return. Roller skates and skateboards gliding on concrete, children wildly screaming within the world of their own distinctive games. When we were young, our faith lay in the purity of living in the moment. Time was bountiful. These parks and streets were our houses of worship where we practiced that devotion. I've long since fallen from that faith, like all adults seem to do. Fearful of death, I dread the future, and lately, always find myself obsessing about the past when I was truly happy. The present only serves as the means to get to those two vastly different places. I can't hold the imagery any longer, and the childhood sights and sounds fade away to silence. Like a magnificent temple now abandoned, its parishioners driven off by the pogroms of time, or they simply grew up and moved on. I always thought that there'd be more time. I always thought that there'd be another day when we see each other again. Balder, fatter, complaining about our jobs, our marriages, or our bratty kids, like all adults seem to do. Maybe we talk about the good old days. But now that door is closed. Every time I see Mel Gibson chain smoking in Lethal Weapon, I think of you. Every time I hear European new wave music, I think of you. Every time I walk through Abington Square, or by the fences at PS41, or through the streets of the old neighborhood, I think of you, Sanin, and everybody else. Sean, Jamie, Daniel, David, Matt, Peter, and the rest, who have gone their separate ways, and I miss all of you. Tears flow now like my memories. I could see you up there, exactly as I remember you. Perfect in youth, waiting by the gates until it's time for the rest of us to join you. I could picture the gates in my mind, coming closer for me. Chains shut and high, way higher than the fences at PS41, and I'm afraid, because I'm old now, and I don't think that I can make it over on my own. Maybe they'll have some give and you could push them open, so I could squeeze my way through. Knowing you, you'd flash one of your smiles and close them on me for a joke as I try to get over, and I understand perfectly. If the situation was reversed, I would probably do the same thing to you. And we chase each other around the clouds and play all day, for eternity, where there's no going home for dinner, no school, no brown-eyed girls to break our hearts. Until then, rest in peace, Sonny. My world was better off 5 minutes ago thinking that you were still alive in it somehow. Now it's lessened, poorer, cheapened. I love you. Suddenly, I feel very tired. My eyes are heavy. I power down the laptop and place it back on the chair. I check the clock one final time. The clock is definitely not my friend. It's nobody's friend. With that, I roll over and I go to sleep.
Can you guys please unmute?
Give it up.